We will be reviewing part two of the senior counseling lesson. Part one reviewed navigating Naviance student and how to use that search engine, as well as personality assessments and how to request transcripts and letters of recommendation in that presentation, as well as searching for post-high school planning opportunities and resources. So part two, we're going to be talking about finding your best fit. This is totally focused on you as the student. And this is important to remember that it's going to look different from student to student. This is not a time to compare your pathway or your choices to your classmates, your friends, or your family. It's really important you take this time to make the next several years useful and meaningful to you based on your interests. So we want to first start off with talking about how to make this choice. So there is no right or wrong way to go about doing this, and there's no wrong choice. So we really want to think about what is the best fit for you right now. What are you interested in right now? Because you will be a different person with the more experiences that you have throughout life and the things that you learn along the way. So we really want to think about, this is not about making the perfect choice. This is about making the best fit choice for now. So when perfection is driving us, we want to think about shame is what's riding next to you in the driver's seat, and fear is talking to you in the back seat. This is a quote from Brene Brown, who is a shame researcher. So we really want you to focus on your inner interest, thinking about what your experience in school has been so far. What have you liked about school? What have you not liked about school? And that will really help to guide you in the next few years as you explore other careers and have other opportunities and wonder about new interests. So every senior will be meeting with their school counselor for individual senior conferences. Students must complete their senior survey in Naviance Student first, and then they will make an appointment electronically with their school counselor through Microsoft Bookings, in which case that student will have a student and counselor meeting to review graduation requirements. So please write down your questions as we go through this information so that you can have a personalized conversation with your school counselor or Mrs. Bridges, your college and career counselor. So when we think about best fit, we want you to think about what do you enjoy doing? What motivates you? What are your gifts? And what does the world need from you? So many times our gifts and our interests and our passions are all kind of rolled up to something so much bigger than us, something that will cultivate meaning in our life and in the lives of those around us. So if we follow our interests and not follow what we think we're supposed to do, we'll really be able to find that best fit. So be yourself, everyone else is taken. There are so many options after high school. And what's really lovely about this is that there can be a combination of any of these options that you can do and overlap. Like you can be in the military and college at the same time. You can be working, of course, in the same time. You can have an apprenticeship and still be taking college classes at the same time. So it's really important that you focus on your interests and the scenario that best fits pursuing those passions will come into play. So let's talk about colleges. Of course, we want to think about best fit for your choice in college. So college is truly a match to be made. It is not a prize to be won, and I talk with students about this a lot. It is not about being in that brand name school. It's about, does that school have your major? Does it have a program that strikes your interest, provides you with opportunities to further learn? Are you being taught by a professor, or are you being taught by an adjunct who's maybe also working in the field? Or are you being taught by a graduate student? Am I going to be able to have research opportunities? There are so many questions and things that come into play. And so we really want you to think about yourself, what you want in an institution. What have you been missing in your educational career thus far that you want to have in college? So, thinking about your campus culture experience, thinking about the career development opportunities, like who's getting jobs out of these schools and where are they being employed? What is my financial situation? Does the school offer merit-based scholarships, meaning scholarships based on my grades? I've worked so hard. So for instance, UVA doesn't offer any merit-based scholarships. There is only the Jefferson Scholarship that is a very, very small percentage of students ever get that. We have not had a student at Battlefield earn that yet. So, it's important to think about financially with my family, like what support do I have and what are the options? There are needs-based scholarships through the government, but also every college has a certain amount of aid for needs-based, meaning that your family has a demonstrated financial need. Thinking about testing. So obviously with COVID this year, testing is really become a choice for students, and you do not have to submit scores for test optional schools. I have included a link to a list of schools that have agreed to be test optional. Most schools are. That is found on your college application checklist, that link. So it's really important to think about schools that are traditionally requiring an SAT or ACT. What they are saying to you is that the culture at our school is very test heavy. So when a college requires an SAT or an ACT, they're saying we want to make sure that you test well, that measures your success, because we know um, through research that very, very smart people don't necessarily test well. But colleges that do require an SAT are saying that we do a lot of testing. So your grade in this course is significantly going to be revolved around your test scores in this course. So if you don't like testing, you might also not want to apply to schools that require SATs or ACTs. You might want a test optional school. So historically, George Mason, as just a local example, they've always been test optional. So that says a lot about the school. There are other schools that do require the SAT because it represents their school culture. So while we are having options to be test optional right now with COVID, be sure to ask questions such as, do I need to submit scores for scholarships or an honors program? Those might also be waived at this point because of admissions waiving those requirements. So with test requirements, really thinking about best fit. I'll go into much more detail in part 3 with the college application. So environment is important. What have you enjoyed about certain classes and what have you not enjoyed about other classes? We want to point you back to Naviance, where you can sign up for college visits for Battlefield. You can do the super match. This is a free search engine where you can put in all that criteria that you want in a college that's important to you, and the search engine will provide you a list of schools with that major, with those important factors that you want in a school, whether it has an ROTC program, what the demographics are like. And there's also the scattergram admission data. So this is where you can see what Battlefield students were accepted and denied, kind of where do I fall? So what level of risk is this school for me as far as admission? So you'll manage your college list in Naviance. You will request transcripts and letters and sign up for college visits. We recommend that students log into Naviance using Clever. This will be using your Office 365 login credentials. If you have trouble with that, your Naviance login is your student number, and then your password is whatever password you created. So you would click Forgot Password. If you forgot it, go to your Prince William County email, get the verification code, and recreate your password. We are not able to reset passwords, so you need to follow the Forgot Password if you forgot your Naviance password. Otherwise, you're going to go through Clever and use those resources. So I got into a little bit of this in the previous slide. But we want you to think wisely about SATs, ACTs, what's required, what's not. Many colleges are going test optional, which means that it is truly your choice to send in your scores. And the question that we always get is, well, should I? If you have strong scores and you believe your scores accurately represent your academic ability in combination with your transcripts, then sending in your scores is not going to hurt you. If you feel like your scores are low and you feel like they're not a good representation, then choose not to. Colleges that provide students a choice are truly saying the choice is there is the students. We will use them for admissions if they send them in, and we will not use them if they choose not to send them in. So remember that your SAT scores, ACT scores are listed on your transcripts. If you want to go through a process of having those scores removed, um, historically, colleges do not consider those scores official on your transcript. You always have to send your scores from College Board or ACT in order for those scores to be considered official. That being said, if you do not want admissions to see your score, you do need to fill out that form to have your scores removed from your transcript. You'll see your school counselor for that request, as there are several steps that we need to take to remove the scores. So when we think about college, there are two pathways. Starting at the community college, you do 2 years and then you transfer and do 2 more years and you've earned your bachelor's degree at a significant lower cost. In Northern Virginia, we're talking close to $20 to $40,000 of savings just by going to community college. Northern Virginia Community College is one of the top community colleges in the country, with very strong transfer program, guaranteed transfer programs, which you should look into if you plan to transfer to the school of your dreams in Virginia or a school outside of Virginia, talking with them about their transfer credit and their transfer agreements. Also, your professors are typically adjuncts, meaning they're working in the fields that they're teaching. So this could be a great opportunity to get some internship opportunities and save some money either at home and working, and also getting the same education that you would at a four-year college. Of course, you can choose to go the four-year college route, living on campus, having that more traditional experience on campus, while also paying the additional cost of room and board, which is traditionally about $10,000 per school year for fall and spring in Virginia, including a very basic food plan and non-upgraded housing. So looking at those two scenarios. Also, with SATs, ACTs, Northern Virginia Community College does not require those, but they will use them for placement testing, and possibly waive your placement tests. So we'll have to contact Northern Virginia Community Colleges with any changes. Otherwise, there are tests, and many students that are already doing dual enrollment at Battlefield, earning college credit at no cost right now. So we know that students are much more than a GPA or a test score. And so colleges are moving towards a holistic approach, and even more so now with the COVID situation, and allowing students to do score report optional, which means they have a specific GPA, so they have a certain level of academic rigor that's already demonstrated on their transcript. They've done well, they've challenged themselves in classes. So colleges will be leaning in and looking closely at essays and letters of recommendation. So be sure to talk about your story and share how you are unique. So that's nice and all. And what if I want to do something else, or a combination of college and something else? So with military, there's so many areas within the military that you can serve your country, earning amazing benefits and support for future education, or even education while you are in the military. So it's important to look at which branches you would want to serve in, what's the difference between the branches, and also how can I serve? You can certainly enlist right away, taking the ASVAB right out of high school. You could do college and military at the same time. And what that looks like is doing ROTC and ROTC program while in college, or doing the National Guard or the reserves, where you are serving your country. You are doing your time once a month on base and taking college classes at the same time while also earning some scholarship opportunities that certain branches have. Another way to serve your country and have a military experience is also to go to a military college. Students can choose to go to military college and still not join the military, but just want that experience in college. So there is a combination of experiences that could be utilized with that pathway. With trade schools, it's important to think about, what is the industry I want to work in and what is required of me to work in that industry. Do I need a certificate? Do I need a license? And this is taking an approach where you graduate from high school and you go into a trade school. So very much like a college experience where you are paying tuition, you're taking your classes, and you want to make sure that this program is an accredited program. So these courses are accredited in the industry that you want to work in. So if you want to do welding, that those classes are accredited so that you can get your license through the state of Virginia or Maryland, wherever you're taking your classes, Pennsylvania. So to make sure that that program is accredited, you would be paying tuition and focusing on classes. And then once you finish your classes, you would get a job as an intern or like well, you would be an employee, but you would be gaining your hours of experience in order to then have enough experience to take the test at the state level. So this process is a three-step process. You go to school, pay tuition, graduate, get a job, get experience, and then take the test. Another scenario is to go the apprenticeship route, which is when you do a combination of your schooling and your work experience, so your hours of experience at the same time. And typically, those benefits include paid classes. So, an apprenticeship is when you have an industry you want to work in. So, say you want to do be a seam fitter welder, you want to go into the electrical field. If you apply for an apprenticeship with a company, sometimes in this area, they're union companies. Other times, it's a private business that has licensed um, workers that also have an educational program. There's also JATC in Manassas. They do an electrical program. And so you get your schooling and you are also working and getting paid hourly on the job while getting experience to see, applying what you're learning in the classroom and having your schooling paid for in many cases. So then you're overlapping the amount of time it takes to get this experience and get your education, and with less to little cost, because the organization has wrapped your schooling into one of your benefits. So this is an apprenticeship approach where after your years of education and your years of experience, you can then take the test, the DPOR, based on the industry that you're pursuing at the state level. So that's a really awesome way to pursue your goal while doing double the amount of things in shorter amount of time. So of course you can also go right into the workforce. And so an example of this would be, I want to go work at a bank, or that's just a specific example. And so you're like, I'm really interested in this. And so you can explore some internships and offer and see, well, who do I know that works in this industry? And ask if you can shadow or do an internship. For instance, there's a local bank in Warrenton that offers internships to students in that industry where you can see if you enjoy it, and they offer tuition reimbursement, you have benefits, and then you are going to be working kind of a more 9 to 5 job during the week, and you can take classes at the community college or a local college at the same time, and using that benefit for either tuition reimbursement or cutting down a little bit on your costs with education while working your way up in the industry that you want to work in. So say you want to work in banking and you want to be maybe a financial planner. So you're getting your bachelor's degree in finance, but you're also getting years of experience on your resume at the same time. And what you've done is you've given up some of that experience of going away to school and just focusing on college, but instead you're focusing on your career as a whole. And you are maybe working full time Monday through Friday, and then in the evenings taking your classes, getting them done at the same amount of rate, but majority of your time is spent, doing your work and building your resume, getting that experience, and then once you get your degree in economics or finance, pursuing the management jobs in that industry. So there's so many ways to combine all the different pathways to meet your best fit. And so we really want you to focus on you. There are some events going on this year, of course. We do so many things to support our students and families, and so many of them will be virtual. So please be on the lookout for the Counseling Canvas course, which will be assigned to all students once it's been pushed down to us from the Kelly Leadership Center. All the information is already prepared for you all, so we're just waiting to roll that out. And these events have been listed on the Facebook page for parents, and they're being emailed out on one document so families can sign up for these events. As many that we can record, we will record, and we will put the link in the Counseling Canvas course. Please stay connected to us. We are trying to put things out on Twitter and Instagram for any updating opportunities, including apprenticeship opportunities, job opportunities, internships, anything we hear about, we post. So encourage students and families to follow us. We also have a counseling newsletter that is embedded in the weekly Bobcast. So it's important that you're checking the counseling newsletter. The link is in the Bobcast every week. Please reach out to your school counselor to schedule your senior conference, and please make sure that you are completing your senior needs assessment survey in Naviance under the About Me tab in My Surveys. This helps us to service you, and it also helps me to send you any information that comes our way within a specific field or industry that you're interested in, so I can be sure to get you the information that you need and want. Thank you all for joining us today, and we look forward to continuing to support you.